There was a lot of ramblings in that. Should we change clothes?
I don't have anything on under this, so no.
Okay.
I can do my hair differently, so like we have different thumbnails.
That's what I was thinking. Like they're gonna be the same next to each other.
Yeah. Good point.
I don't know what to do.
Cute.
Whenever I do this, my forehead looks so large.
It doesn't.
You're too nice to me. I can't hear
normal
you
sized forehead.
because my headphones are down over there, but I just see you like shaking your head and going, no, it doesn't. Okay.
I was typing into the chat, you have a normal sized forehead. Okay. Hot take. The best way to learn is to just fucking do it. So the last two hot takes we talked about, like not giving a fuck about your so-called impressive experience, like going to an Ivy League school, getting an MBA, working at a giant company, not accomplishing anything. No. So we're going to talk about what actually impresses us. And that's the shit that you've done. The shit that you've done that was actually a huge failure. Or like the shit that you've done to rectify that failure and turn it into success. And how you do those things. That's what impresses us as Sarah and Bridget.
Yeah, and I don't know that our opinion should matter more than other people's opinions, but
that's our podcast.
That's why we have a podcast. So you're listening to our opinions for some reason.
It's your own fault.
Your track record is literally what your resume is. Like we say, I've seen the like last week, your LinkedIn presence is your resume, your Twitter presence is your resume. No, your actual work, what you've actually been doing is your resume.
I had a conversation with a VP of marketing on Monday. It was like 6 a.m. his time. And he was like, yeah, my team put on an event and made a documentary about putting on the event. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do a good job of making sure that my team was successful in doing this. I was like, whoa. Because generally when people put on a giant event and also produce a documentary about putting on that event and launch the two at the same fucking time, they're like, I'm so proud of this team. They did an amazing job. Like, no. And he was like, no, like I gave this person the event and it was my fault because I didn't really let go of the event and then it kind of flopped. And I was like, that's so fucking impressive because that means that this VP of marketing is still telling himself, his direct reports, and the world that he still has more to learn. I'm like, that right there is so impressive to me. Like, I don't care if you helped execute the first ever Dreamforce and then never iterated on it ever again. And every event that you do is exactly like the first ever Dreamforce. Like, kill. You created a repeatable routine. Whoa. You created a repeatable routine and you're never going to innovate on it. And you're just like riding that high. Like the first ever Dreamforce. Oh my God. The first ever Dreamforce was probably kind of like, okay.
Yeah. Like failing is just facts. Like it's going to happen. Let's just say that out front and not be scared of it. I think that we get so scared of like, well, I can't fail because I have all this pressure on me. And like, maybe that comes out of the environment that you're in. And I'm sorry for you because that fucking sucks. Like I feel for you. Like I've been there before, but that made me really look for an environment where it's like, all right, we're just going to test and try things and things are not going to work. But like that's like the baseline understanding, right? And when you can do that and create it builds teams that like want to go and innovate things. And that builds teams where people go to places like LinkedIn or Twitter to learn how other marketers are failing or are succeeding in their industries. And I want to take that back and like apply it to my industry, right? So like when you normalize failure, you get innovation. Like you can't have it without that. You can't.
Ooh, that was fire.
You can't though. Like I've been in situations before where we were just forced to do innovation. Like we literally had on the calendar like an innovation meeting. Oh. And first of all, you just can't do that. no, like every meeting on our calendar should be an innovation meeting. And also like you innovate like fluidly, like the best people, the best marketers at least, are people that innovate without even knowing that they're doing it because they're curious, right? Mm-hmm. You can't stick that person into a 2-slide PowerPoint of like how they came up with this and why they're doing it. Like that's so stupid.
That's tough. We have an inspo sesh every other week, and when I tell you that the ideas fly, I think it's because we get into a Zoom room. Hopefully one day we'll get into like a conference room where we can like build off each other's energy, because at some point we're all going to be jumping. And no one's allowed to say no to an idea. So like, and there's no PowerPoints. There's generally like at least 1 to 2 topics that people want to like brainstorm about, and like they want the whole crew's input.
But it's a brainstorm. It's not like here's a final presentation on this thing that my team has been doing for 2 weeks and calling it, and then we like awarded. It doesn't make any sense.
There was oh boy, no.
Whatever. The point is
yeah, like this inspo session, you yes and everything, and then at the end there are action items, and then we do it. And like that's where universe came from, that's where university came from, that's where office hours came from, that's where like Alice All Stars came from, that's where like all of our like outward brand moments have come from, because we work best when we're like ingesting each other's energy. Is that a weird thing? I used ingest and I didn't like the word ingest.
It's the same. That's why I stayed at the ad agency for 3 years. Like I've said this in a past episode, I loved sitting in on brainstorms, even when they weren't my clients. Like we would just get pulled into random brainstorms just for like your perspective. And that was like celebrated in that space. And that's why I'm like, hey, can we just like start doing that in tech? Like, why are we not doing that? Because it's just crazy, whatever.
I think it's also just like personally, like I get really impressed by people who just like fucking do things. You don't sit around, you don't ask for permission, you don't wait for permission, you organize your thoughts on how to do something to make sure that you're not going to royally fuck everything up when you do it, but then you go do it. You ask for forgiveness, not for permission. But like I remember talking to someone who worked at Liberty Mutual or something, like big insurance, like and he was like, yeah, my boss isn't here this week, so I like don't have any like, projects to do. I was like, what do you mean? You're still in the phase of your life where your boss needs to assign you projects because you don't have autonomy over something? Like,
it's not how this works. That's not how this works.
Not how being an adult works. Like, even if you're at a giant organization like Liberty Mutual, like there must be something that you can do when your boss isn't there.
Yeah.
One
of the biggest traps that we fall into in tech is, especially now with this like weird quasi like influencer culture that we've created.
Yeah. Don't love that journey for us, to be honest.
No, it's not cute, and we're just, you guys, we're gonna survive it. We're gonna be survivors. It's gonna be fine. We are super guilty though of just conceptualizing fucking everything. Like to the point where everything can be taken in 6 different ways, or there's 10 marketing tips for X, Y, and Z that like either are common sense or
like so vague you can't even apply them.
That's what I mean. Like everything is so conceptual and so vague that nobody's actually saying anything. And then we go in like circles debating these best practices, but like, are you actually using those best practices, or did you just read them on some other blog? Like, I don't want to hear you say it if you have not done it yourself. I don't want to hear you parrot it from somebody else. That's just disgusting. Like, let's just not do that. Can we just as a group collectively decide not to like post fluffy ass LinkedIn content and Twitter content? Like, it's just so overrated.
Yeah. So, hot take. We don't care what you have to say unless you've actually done shit that you can talk to.
Yeah, that's like common sense. Don't talk about shit you don't know nothing about. That's it. That's it. That's the tweet.
That's the hot take. Fucking roll the outro.
All right, bye.